Okay, I think we'll kick it off. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar today on maximizing sales with our extreme weather sales impact app available exclusively in Seek's Insight Cloud. My name is Craig Stelmach, and I'm SVP of Business Development at WeatherSource. WeatherSource is a leading provider of global weather and climate information and weather-based solutions, and we solve weather challenges for some of the largest businesses in the world. I'm joined today by my colleague, Mark Gibbs, CEO and Chief Meteorologist at WeatherSource, and also Brian Mitchell, VP of Seek Insight Labs. It should be no surprise to anyone on this webinar that weather is changing, from massive wildfires to extreme precipitation to heat and cold waves. We are seeing extreme weather events globally increasing in duration, severity, and frequency. In businesses such as retailers, manufacturers, and CPGs that lack the necessary tools to mitigate this increasing risk are at a competitive disadvantage. WeatherSource and Seek have been strategic partners for many years, and when Seek launched its Insight Cloud, WeatherSource was thrilled to be one of the first providers to collaborate with Seek to bring a new application to market for businesses needing assistance with navigating the evolving risk associated with these extreme weather events. Our first application in the Seek Insight Cloud is our Extreme Weather Sales Impact app, which is focused on the impact of hurricanes. However, more extreme weather events such as heavy precipitation, flooding, tornadoes, storm surge, and wildfires, and more are right around the corner. During today's webinar, you're going to learn more about WeatherSource and Seek. What is the Insight Cloud and how do I get started? And what type of business intelligence and insights are available from our Extreme Weather Sales Impact app. This webinar is scheduled for 45 minutes, and there will be 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the session for questions and answers. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And now, without further ado, I will pass the mic off to my colleague, Mark Gibbs, to get started. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Craig. All right, yeah, so a little bit more about WeatherSource. Craig told you a bit about us. We are a global leader of weather intelligence and weather intelligence products. We have weather history going back many decades. We have weather forecasts globally. Really just, the depth and breadth of what we bring to bear, services, industries and business sectors, around the whole spectrum. So, all of the weather information you could possibly need is available through our services. In addition, we are supporting a lot of weather that's important to this webinar, which is everything related to severe weather and extreme weather, and that includes things such as hurricanes, flooding, tropical cyclones, convective weather, wildfires, you name it. All of that is supported by our operations. But let's talk a little bit more about the impact of climate change and how that's affecting businesses and retailers. This here is a slide from NOAA, so the National Oceanic Administration. So independently put together, not by us, but by everyone at NOAA. And this shows for 2024 that there have been a total of 24 so far U.S. billion-dollar weather and climate disaster events throughout 2024 so far. The map shows so many that I can't go into them all, but they cover the gamut from winter storms to tropical cyclones and hurricanes to wildfires to severe weather events such as tornadoes and hail. And we all see these in the news every day, or it seems like every week we see something new. And these have a huge impact, not just on the population and insurance and property structure and everything else, but it has a huge impact on retailers. And that can come from many different parts, everything from staffing to making sure that you have, if you're expecting an increase in sales because people are preparing for a storm, or if you're expecting that your staff can't make it to the store, you need to be able to, let them know that they don't need to come in. So staffing is an issue. Also, preparing for a storm and after a storm is huge. We have learned that if you don't pay attention to the storm, you can have, stockouts, which can be very expensive in the sense of lost revenue. You can have logistics and supply chain issues and so on. So if you do have the knowledge to prepare for a storm, you're more armed to be more successful, more profitable, and providing a better service to your local community. Let's go to the next one. We have more slides on, or more information on kind of the trend that we're seeing with all of these big weather events. What you're seeing here is tracked major million-dollar events since the 1980s and going up to 2024 to date. And you can definitely see the trend. It's going up. Year after year, decade after decade, we are seeing more events. And these events are, again, as I mentioned, everything from droughts to wildfires to floods, winter storms, severe, I should say, extreme heat or extreme cold, and of course, tropical cyclones and hurricanes. The trend is going up, and it's not going to stop. Climate change is real, and it's having a real impact, and the effect of that is accelerating as we're going through the most recent years here. A little bit of more information. We're seeing that this was just recently announced, but the hurricanes Helene and Milton drove a significant amount of kind of a delayed growth in retail. In other words, retailers kind of suffered from these hurricanes. So, this is coming from sources such as Barron's and also the National Retail Federation, being able to track this information. So again, good sources of analytics here. Let's go to the next one. All right, so forecasting is something that WeatherSource does that is among the best in the world. We do operate our Gaia weather model, which is a AI-driven weather model. This is an example of two forecast tracks, one coming from Hurricane Francine, the other one coming from Hurricane Beryl. And you can see that there are several tracks on here. Looks a little bit like spaghetti. The first thing to point out is the black line is the actual track that each of these hurricanes took. So you have Francine on the left and Hurricane Beryl on the right. And then there's a few other lines on here. You have the yellow line is the National Hurricane Center forecast. So that's a forecast from our U.S. National Hurricane Center. And then the pink line is the forecast from the ECMWF high-res model. So the ECMWF model is considered the world, kind of the gold standard in the world in terms of forecast accuracy. But as you can see in each of these, the WeatherSource Gaia forecast was outperforming both the National Hurricane Center and the ECMWF forecast. I'll look at Francine first. We actually forecasted that storm before it even came into existence. So we forecasted that storm generating a day before it actually was there. And then we had a great forecast track picking up on the turn in the Gulf of Mexico, and then basically parallel to the actual track that eventually evolved, all the way up into Louisiana and into the Gulf states. And then similarly, looking at the track of Beryl, we picked that up again very early when it was just south of Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And a pretty tight track along the actual route, doing better than the ECMWF and better than the National Hurricane Center until I got up to the Texas area. But overall, a very, very good track on that. So why do we bring this up? It's important that if you're going to be doing forecasting and you're going to be listening to the forecast and making plans, that the forecast be accurate, right? So it's very important that as you're making those supply chain changes or supply chain decisions and what you're going to be doing for staffing and inventory and such, that you can have a forecast that you can depend on, and you can count on this forecast for that. All right, let's go to the next one. And again, this is just an example of some of the products that we can bring to bear. So a wealth of hurricane information, tropical cyclone information, all of the watches and warnings and other types of forecasts that go out with that are all part of this process. And that can be fed into all of the app capabilities that Seek can bring. And with that, I think I'm going to be handing it over to Brian.
That's great. Thanks, Mark. So for those who are not familiar, my name is Brian Mitchell. I'm the VP of Insight Labs here at Seek, and I'm going to give you just a quick high-level overview of what Seek is and where we're positioned in the market, and then dive into a little bit of the platform and the specific application that we've built with WeatherSource. A lot of words on this slide, not going to read through it specifically, but the easiest analogy that we always use to describe our business is we are an analytics app store for business. So we're positioning ourselves with partners like WeatherSource as a channel partner for delivering ROI on analytics use cases. So the use case, again, we've been working with Mark and Craig on is evaluating what impact severe weather events have on retailer performance. So our platform is designed to connect developers like WeatherSource with consumers like brands and their analyst teams. Together, we are working to really evolve and generate the ROI out of raw data faster. So in today's world, a lot of businesses will receive data in a bulk format through Snowflake share or through flat files, et cetera. And they employ internal teams who then have to work with that data and go through many processes before they actually arrive at some kind of actionable insight that they've gained from the data. Working with WeatherSource and Seek together, we're bringing our expertise together to really expedite that ROI and deliver a curated solution that was created on top of a very specific use case and delivered through a platform that allows users to subscribe, connect their data, and within minutes have the results of this analysis to be able to make those inventory planning, those staff planning decisions with data to support each one of those choices. Gonna play a video here just to highlight some of what the application looks like in our platform and the functionality. So from a business user perspective, a lot of the user experience is very familiar, very typical BI experience. This is connected to all of the raw data sources, both provided by WeatherSource and provided by the brand. This is their retailer performance data. So users are able to come in and cut and slice and curate their view so they can look at their specific category, even drill down all the way down to SKU level if the data supports that. And the visuals on the screen then start to highlight some of the insights that would generally take days, weeks, sometimes even months to get to. And we're getting it in real time very, very quickly. All the functionality of cross-filtering and drill down exists in this video. It's part of what we built our platform to support. Users are very familiar with this, whether you use technologies like Power BI or Tableau or any other type of BI tool. So it should be a very familiar user experience. But again, just speed to insights and speed to ROI is what our platform is built to deliver. I'm going to walk through a use case here, specifically, if I can get this to stop and move to the next slide. I'm going to walk through a use case that we executed together and just pulled out kind of the actual insights that this application does provide. So this was in advance of Hurricane Milton, which I believe was the most recent hurricane to really affect the US here. And when working with this brand, we looked back at the historic weather data. We found Ian and Idalia to be similar in strength and geographic location So we use those two to model what we would anticipate seeing when Milton made landfall in Florida. So what we're able to derive from evaluating those previous storms are really looking geographically at some of the most heavily impacted cities. And we have a kind of a storm impact score that we rate these cities. So this looks at factors including what the sales surges looked like, what the stock out instances looked like, so lost revenues, as well as how strong the storm was when it was within a close proximity to those stores, and how long the storm remained within that proximity. So some of these cities are more heavily affected than average, just given either the strength of the storm or how much retail impact we saw. Overall, what we saw and what we're able to see immediately on running this application is that during the time of that severe weather, there was a 6% decrease in sales. So this had a total impact of almost $6 million. 216 stores impacted. Sorry, not $6 million. That was a total sales. It was about $400,000 less than expected. So the impact was about $400,000 less than what we expected to sell during that time frame, and about 150,000 unit sales short of what we anticipated. We do a kind of pre, during, and post analysis in this application. So users have the ability to expand this time frame to look at what purchase behavior looked like leading up to an event, and then also what purchase behavior looks like post-event. So what we typically see with severe events like hurricanes is kind of this spike in sales, which we'll reference as a sales surge. This is a lot of your storm prep or panic buying, people will call it. People rush to the store, they have very specific products that they're looking for, and a lot of times this sales surge is what we see later on, resulting in very high stock out percentages and lost revenue. So it really provides good visibility into when most shoppers actually make the trip to the store to get the product, as it relates to when the storm actually hits. So we're able to surface that very quickly. From an item level or category level, again, the analysis immediately can surface what categories, what subcategories, what brands, down to what SKUs do people buy first? What do they shift away from during extreme weather? So you might see performance of certain product categories skyrocket in advance of a storm, and other ones that are normally strong will trail off. So you're able to see very quickly, if I'm making replenishment or if I'm making inventory choices, I might look at a different assortment to support extreme weather than I would on just a normal replenishment schedule. And as I mentioned previously, the big insight that really kind of drives bottom line value is what happens to our in-stock percent when we see these massive surges of shoppers going to look for product all at one time. So for this particular customer of ours, they hold normally a 98% in-stock rate, and that drops down to 72% during the time of extreme weather. That is a significant decrease in stock, and then results in obviously stockouts and missed revenue. So we did all of this analysis to prep for the effect of Milton, and the high level insights that we're able to derive is this impact statement. It is two hurricanes that occurred over the span of 4 weeks and resulted in $1 million in lost revenue. And we got to that conclusion in minutes, not days, not weeks, not months. On the tail end of that analysis, we ran another application on our Insight Cloud platform. And for this particular brand, identified that there was, without the effect of Milton's impact, there was already another nearly $200,000 in revenue at risk just in the Florida stores, based on their inventory levels and positioning at that time. So it really gives you a holistic view of what happens historically when storms happen. Hopefully provides insights to better prepare for future impact of storms. And then additional applications to support additional data-driven decisions for replenishment and supply chain. And that's my part.
Okay, hi everyone. We're gonna move into the Q&A portion of the webinar today. So thank you to everyone who sent in questions. Looks like we have about 20 minutes allotted left, so we should have plenty of time to get through all of them. The first question is for weather source, and it says, which additional weather parameters like tornadoes are available?
Mark, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I was just noticing that. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, there's a number of high impact weather parameters that we're bringing to the platform. First of all, severe weather, and severe weather is classified as like thunderstorms, hail, tornadoes. You know, it's that summertime weather that occurs kind of in short notice, can be very impactful. So we're supporting severe weather. We have forecast views of severe weather going out as far as 10 days. I'll be completely honest, trying to nail a thunderstorm 10 days out is challenging, but we do understand where they're going to be setting up, the kind of general area where we're expecting to have, you know, large impactful weather. And then of course, in the days, you know, getting closer, you know, you get to 7 days, 6 days, and so on. The certainty of that forecast becomes stronger, and then you can react to it in that way. So everything around severe weather is supported. Also strong winds. These can be either from what we call large synoptic storms, like big rainstorms, big blizzards and snowstorms, but also, of course, you know, tropical cyclones and hurricanes. So anything related to strong winds is supported. Heavy rain and snowfall. So these can also, you know, the large storms that are advertised by the media, these large storms can cause concerns among the public and start to cause panic buying, especially in the case of blizzards or something like that. You know, there's always a need to go out and get all of the groceries you need, maybe put snow tires on your car or something like that. So, you know, we have great forecasts for that. Again, you know, going out several days in advance, and we do have impact scores for these, which is essentially a ranking to tell you, you know, this storm is a 5, this storm is a 10, and so on. So we have that information. And then we also have extreme temperatures. So these can either be, you know, really, you know, big heat waves, you know, with temperatures, you know, well over 100 Fahrenheit, or like we saw, you know, down in Texas a couple years back, you know, these Arctic outbreaks where, you know, the temperatures just drop, and, you know, well below freezing, and cause lots of disruptions to people's lives. So anyway, all of that is supported, and we're working with Brian and Seek to make sure that these events are represented in the data.
Great. Okay, so the next question is more for Seek, and it is, how do I integrate my data with Insight Cloud and the app?
Yeah, great question. So there's not one single answer to that, but you know, our platform is built to receive and integrate with data in various ways. That is something that, based on your specific data structure at your business, we would be able to work with you on. Our platform is built with SOC 2 compliance and very high security standards, so that's all able to be walked through and evaluated by internal IT teams and data teams as well. But we have customers who provide data via Snowflake, secure shares. We can work through kind of Amazon S3 buckets. We can accept flat files. So there's a various methods that we can connect to customer data. It would just be kind of crafted based on each customer's particular situation.
Okay, and then the next two questions are both about pricing. One will be more for Weather Source to answer, and one's more for Seek to answer. But first, I can ask for Weather Source, what is the pricing structure for the app?
So we price by number of locations and then product category supported. So depends on the number of stores, the number of brands or products that you're wanting to receive insights for. And if you email sales@weathersource.com, we'd be more than happy to have a discussion about your use case and what that pricing might look like.
Okay, and then the other question around pricing is, what is the pricing structure for Insight Cloud?
Yeah, great question. So our pricing structure is meant to be very flexible, and essentially the way that we operate is our customers purchase capacity, or they purchase access to our platform, and there are a variety of apps on the platform. So think of it like loading a wallet with whatever amount of dollars you are wanting to use on our platform for various applications, and then the applications are all priced by our partners. So hypothetically speaking, if you loaded $100 on your card, and the price that was established for the weather application with Craig and the team there is $50, you would use 50 of your preloaded dollars for the subscription for the Weather Source application. Very simplified version of it, but.
Great. And then this is the last question that we have, and I'll have Seek answer it. And it is, how can we access and get started with the Extreme Weather Sales Impact app?
Yeah, I would say the best way to get started is to reach out to the sales at Weather Source, as Craig just mentioned. Reach out to Weather Source, let them know you're interested in the app, and then they will kind of take the lead on getting introduced to your business and your data, and Seek will come along as the channel partner for delivery and kind of establish how we get connected to your data, and all the technical integrations to get it turned on and working for you.
Great. So it looks like that's it for our Q&A. So we are a little bit early, done a little bit early, so we can give everyone some time back. But thank you all for joining, and thank you to Weather Source, Craig and Mark, and to Brian for presenting. I think this was super informative, and hopefully everyone enjoyed it today. And we'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.